being a little bit more informal today and just kind of hanging out. So let's start this thing off. You guys, I am here to help people understand what could be going on with their health, whether you suffer from any of the things above and you just haven't gotten help from physicians, nutritionists, even your gym pro who's telling you to do more exercise and cut your calories. Or if you've been told you have any of those things up there and you have to lose weight to have it happen, that it's all your fault because you just need to lose weight and then you're going to feel better. That basically you don't care about yourself enough because you're not losing weight. But what if you've tried to lose weight to get all of this stuff better and it's not working? And you're not getting a better solution. And so you're getting frustrated and you decide that you're going to take things into your own hands. Well, that's what I did. I took things into my own hands 2 years ago. So I went from the picture on the left to the picture on the right, um, lost 50 pounds and overcame almost everything that's up there except for erectile dysfunction. That guys, we'll talk about that if you want to. But it's really easier than you think. And it doesn't require medications. It doesn't require anything but understanding that our food that we eat today is not what it's meant to be for our bodies and it's making us sick. And the problem is that, a lot of us will be like, okay, but what do I do? Well, we have to deal with it, right? I was watching a video the other night where they were talking about how we had, a century ago, how our main mode of transportation was horses. And we replaced that whole industry with cars. And we really haven't gone backward, right? We can't but be like, oh, we're going to get rid of all the cars. We're going to get rid of all these motorized things. And we're just going to go back to horse and carriage. And we're going to do, no, we can't. That's the same thing with our food. We're just not likely to go back to the food that we're meant to have. So now we have to learn how to deal with the reality we're in and understand that that's the only way we can move forward is to just really start to deal with what we're living in now. And that means we have to understand that things like fibers, things like enzymes and nutrients have been stripped from our food to make it more marketable, to make it more delectable, to make it more delicious, to make it so that you'll want to eat it. How many times have you guys ate something? We are so spoiled. I think about it. We're so driven by the taste factor in our food. This is a rant, you guys. It's a Misha rant today. But we're so driven by the taste factor in our food that we're unwilling to look at a food and say, hey, this could be healthy for me and eat it because it doesn't taste as good as that piece of chocolate cake. Yet we'll eat that and that's going to make us sicker. So we're driven by taste and that's part of how we ended up here. Let's all take some responsibility of this. So how to increase fiber other than salads? That's an amazing question, Hanadi. So what I do, because I can't get in every day, I would love to, but I can't get in every day the amount of fibers that I need because it really takes a variety of fibers, guys. It's not just one fiber that we need. And that's what's in like that psyllium husk stuff that everybody talks about. We need a variety of fibers. That's why they talk about eat the rainbow. So I choose to supplement, Hanadi. So I found a supplement that, or it's a system. It really is a supplement, but it's also a part of my lifestyle now. So I found a system that allows me to put back in a number of those fibers. Now, do I aim to eat all those fibers when I eat? Yeah, I do. Do I always make that? No. So that's where the supplementation comes in handy because now I'm assured that every time I eat, no matter what I eat, I'm getting in the right fibers to help me get my blood glucose down, to help me keep my weight off, to help me keep my brain clear, to help my gut rebuild, all of that. And the supplement is really simple. It's a tea I drink in the morning and these pre-meal drinks that I have before I eat anything. And I combine it with some time restricted eating. And that's it. So you can go out and you can research all the fibers. There are like 3 kinds of fibers that help with blood sugar reduction. And if you are able to find those in foods and eat those foods every time before you eat, great. But most of us can't. A lot of us go out for dinners, we have meetings, we have other things that we're doing. We're not always eating from home, which we all know would be better for us if we ate at home instead of out and about, but we're not. So that's why I supplement, because most of us just cannot realistically do that. And so that's why this is so important. Like, look, if you can do that, I applaud you because I would love to do that. I remember when I had days living in North Idaho. I'm on the East Coast now, but I used to live in North Idaho and I had dreams. This is my crazy life of being living in a log cabin in the woods and growing all my own food, right? Those were my dreams, but that's not my life now. We can do the best we can, and the tools are a game changer, Elizabeth. So are you on the system, Elizabeth? Because so many people that are doing so well, and I have people who thought, they were like, I don't know about this, I'm gonna wait. They waited like 6 months, they started, and they're like, oh my gosh. So tell me, would you mind telling us, Elizabeth, why you started, what was going on with you that that made you decide to use the tools, and what has changed in your life since then? So lower cholesterol is one. And Hanadi, I get it. I'm not like, look, I can't show it on here now because I have the screen up, but I'll grab the book. Hold on a second. A friend of mine sent me this book because I was so sick. It's The Medical Medium, and look at this thing, right? Like, he goes over all these diseases and all the things that you need to eat and do um, to heal your disease, which is great. I love it as a reference. I did this for a long time, and I found out all the foods that I was supposed to be doing. I made spreadsheets. I'm a spreadsheet person of all the stuff that I was supposed to do to get better, and it was unsustainable. I couldn't carry all those fresh foods with me everywhere I went. Couldn't carry the blender with me everywhere I went to make the shakes I needed to make. When, like, a year ago, I was in traveling to Thailand, and in those Southeast Asian countries, there was just nothing open for food. So I'm on an airplane where they're giving you noodles and that kind of thing for lunch. They have more fiber in their food, by the way, than we do. But there just wasn't any place in the airports to find this kind of food. So now what do? You have to supplement. And in today's world and in our lifestyle today, I think that most of us have to supplement. So Elizabeth says it's lowered her cholesterol. She's gotten off of her hypothyroid medications, and her A1C is down from 6 to 5.5. And if you guys don't know, the A1C is the marker for that used to be above 6, and then it kind of started moving down like 5.9, 5.7, and now they're talking about dropping it again. Because they're starting to realize, why do these things change in our medicine? Because as science progresses and they start to realize how important things are, they start to adjust those numbers. So that number is down regulating. I think I was reading or heard at one point that it used to be that an A1C of 7 was okay. And now they realize, no, that's not true. So we're continually growing and expanding our knowledge and learning about things we didn't know about. And that's what's helping us understand why we're having all of these things go on. So all of these things up here, by the way, are linked to insulin resistance. And it's everything that helped me go from 270 pounds to now under 220 pounds, and still working to get the rest of that off. You guys, it's crazy. So I had the skin tags, the dark skin patches, acid reflux, sleep apnea. I didn't have as much problem with acne, but I was getting breakouts that I couldn't explain, and they wouldn't go away, and I don't have them anymore. So migraines, the high blood pressure was me totally. And I will be doing videos, you guys, all week this week on high blood pressure. I kind of did an overview one last night. I'm going to dive into the nuts and bolts starting today. I'm going to give you the exact reasons why insulin resistance is causing high blood pressure and how damning it is to our health. And by addressing insulin resistance, I was able to take my blood pressure down from 180 over 150 to now this morning again was 112 over 74. So it's insane. And I'm not on any medications. It's just 2 real food products like Elizabeth is doing. And Elizabeth, would you ever give these up? When people ask, how long do you have to do it? And are you going to do this the rest of your life? What would you tell them, Elizabeth, now that you've been doing it for a year? This isn't a fad. See, that's the way I am too. I tease, sort of tease. I mean, it's a phrase that I say, but I say to my kids, they'll have to pry these out of my cold dead hands. Like, I will be doing this till the day I pass because it's so important. It's so important to health. Sorry, my computer shuts down and I've got to figure that setting out. It shuts down in the middle of the stream. Um, and I feel better, right? It's not just that, oh, I want to be doing products for the rest of my life. It's that I feel better. It's that I have this list of things that I have to keep adding to, of things that I used to suffer with, that I no longer suffer with, and that I have freedom back in my life. I can play with my grandkids. I can get good sleep. I don't have pain in my body, throughout my body every day. I'm not sitting on the couch like, I can't get up. I hurt so bad. I don't have a walker and a cane. Those got donated over a year ago because I didn't need them anymore. Doctors couldn't figure out why I was in so much pain, why my joints were failing, why everything in my, my gut was failing, my eyes were failing, my teeth were bleeding, my hair was falling out. I was gaining weight rapidly. Nobody could figure it out. We did all the tests. We did hormone tests. We did MRIs. We did CAT scans. I was at the doctor's office twice a month, every month, trying to figure out how to save my life. And you know what saved my life? Elizabeth, I know you can talk about it. This saved my life. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, because I want somebody else who feels like I used to feel to know that you don't have to have all those medications. By the way, it was probably like $100 a month or more in copays for all the medications they had me on, plus the copays for the doctor's visits, plus the time and energy to travel and the gas money to travel and the time I lost every month going back and forth to the doctor's office. Would I rather have a tea in the morning and a drink before I eat anything? Would I rather have that at $5 a day than everything I was going through before? You damn straight I would. So me too, Elizabeth. I'm so glad you found it too. Yeah, she says she feels so much better. Sometimes she can't believe it. Tried all the stuff before this. That sounds just like me. Like I did, you guys, and I was a world champion athlete. So I worked out 6 days a week, 3 hours a day. Sometimes I worked out 7 days a week. But I started to realize as I aged that I should give myself a rest day. So it wasn't like I was lazy and laying on the couch, but it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. I was still heavy. I was working out and people were like, Misha, you need to go have, your A1C checked. You need to, and it was always normal. I'm like, no, my A1C is normal. My blood glucose is normal. My lipids are normal. I'm healthy. Like hell I was dying from the inside out because those markers don't help us understand why we're really sick. They don't give us that true picture of what we need. And I will bet you that in 10 years from now, they're going to add that insulin resistant test, the HOMA insulin resistance test to, hey, Anna, ask any questions you have, and I'll be happy to answer what's going on here. I bet that they'll be adding this fasting insulin test to our complete metabolic panel because it's as important, if not more important than that A1C and blood glucose number. If we can get that fasting insulin test done now, whew, I just got goosebumps. I get myself so worked up sometimes, you guys, that if they can add that early on, we can catch people before they ever are pre-diabetic, before they ever are diabetic, before they've ever lost 3 joints and a gallbladder and all of these other things, and heart disease and kidney disease and liver failure. We can catch it early on. There is no age limit for using the products. Yeah. So Elizabeth says that she just noticed her migraines have stopped. And when you live with them for so long, you don't want to jinx, right? So I get it. I never really had migraines. I was lucky in that stage until towards the end. I started having, actually migraines didn't come on until just before my gallbladder got removed. And that's an indication to me that my liver was unhealthy, and I'm working on getting my liver health back now after so many years of damage to it. So I want to go back to Hanadi, and you guys, it disappoints me. I'm on the live of many other people who, like, I listen into other people who are talking about the system, and they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job. But the one thing I'm going to say with most of them is they will say, kids don't need this if they're under 18. What the hell? I mean, what the actual hell? We have kids who are being diagnosed with prediabetes and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease at 6. I'm here telling you that it's a product of our food environment. Why would we tell our kids to wait until 18 that they don't need to address their nutrition until they're 18. And by then, they're already having problems. Maybe they've gone through puberty quicker. Maybe they have some liver failure already. Maybe they're suffering disorders from diabetes already. Maybe they're having cognition function problems. You know, why would we not allow our kids this system? Why are these people saying, no, wait till you're 18? Look, we have an 18-month-old who drinks the products every day. My grandkids who are 11 and 14 do it every day. My granddaughter who's 4 does not have any indications, but she drinks the tea at least every day. And so why not? Like, and I feel good about it because this is one thing that I can do for my family that is not going to require them to go be poked and jabbed and have medications or be sticking a needle in their belly because they're now diabetic. No, I'm simply having them address this by having a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before they eat anything. Both of my grandkids have leaned out. The dark skin patches are going away. Their cognition is better. Their moods and behaviors are better. I've watched my grandson go from little hellion, part of it's just age, right? And having severe ADHD and dysfunction in the world to now having better function. He's doing better in school. He's exceeding. He's in JROTC. He's in sports. Both the kids are. They're getting better grades at school. Their focus factor is much better. So, like, why in hell would I ever say to those kids, no, I don't want you doing this until you're 18 because it's just food? So, Anna, it's a system that I am a representative of. It's actually, you can just find it. I'll type in a link for you. It's a tea that I drink in the morning. So what the tea is, guys, is let me get this link for you. Hang on a second. I'm on Facebook and YouTube as well, so I'm trying to get that there. Anna, if you go to that link, the products are there. They're $5 a day. So the tea is a highly purified and extracted form of yerba mate. So this is not the whole tea leaf. It's not the whole plant. So what we do is we have farmers in the area in Argentina where this is grown, grow it. They hand pick it because they know they've been subsisting off of this tea for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So you're very welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you. Thank you. So yes, I want kids to be a focus too. They are our future. And it's amazing that more people aren't talking about it. The tea, you guys, is hand picked. It's grown by the farmers we purchase it from. They have control. There's no slave labor. There's no machine harvesting. So ethically, sustainably harvested. That's important to me. And then we fire roast it to get those components out. A number of the foods that we eat need to be cooked a little to get the components that we need to be released from them. So then we take it to a process where it gets extracted and then concentrated. And then the last step is it goes through a process called hyperpure that removes environmental toxins, pesticides, and a number of those PAHs. So now you have a highly concentrated, extremely pure form of that yerba mate. Now, the yerba mate, I'll come back to that in a second. But Anna, so you have underactive thyroid issue for years. So Hashimoto's, hypothyroid, for years, and nobody could figure out how to regulate it. I went to allopathic doctors. I went to osteopathic doctors. I went to naturopathic doctors. We did all kinds of testing. There's a German testing where they test the electrical currents in your body. Very, very accurate. But the doctor, that naturopath who I adored, told me they could not give me enough either synthroid or bovine, Armour thyroid, that to fix this problem, because they would have had to give me 5 times the synthroid to address the issue. Do I still have some thyroid? Most likely problems. But a number of people like me have gotten so much better. I got to get this ring off. And I have success stories of women who have Hashimoto's, women who've had hypothyroiditis who are doing much better and feel like they're not even having those problems and have been tested and their thyroid is in normal range. Does anybody want to maybe understand a little bit of why that can happen? So we've gone from kids to thyroids, and I love this because this is what I wanted this morning, was to address what you guys need to hear. So thyroid, by the way, I was listening to a doctor the other day, and he said that he believes all autoimmune disease begins in the gut. Okay. this was from a doctor, all autoimmune begins in the gut. One of the things that happens with insulin resistance is it sets our gut microbiome off. We get full of inflammation. We have these inflammatory proteins. I'm so excited I can hardly talk. Inflammatory proteins going on in our gut, and it causes this inflammation that then spreads throughout the body. So it starts hitting areas like our thyroid, and our thyroid feels like it's being attacked. And so it starts attacking itself. Okay. So that's Hashimoto's hypothyroid. But when we settle down that inflammation, a number of those autoimmune diseases seem to be getting better. So addressing the insulin resistance, which is the root cause of all of this stuff, can help with some of those things. So to me, that's one of the things I say all the time is it worth it? For me, it was worth it. It's like, why not try it? It has a 90-day money back guarantee. If I do it for 90 days and I'm not getting better, then I'm going to get my money back. So what the hell? I've tried everything else. You guys, I'm swearing a lot this morning. Please, please don't get me in trouble here, or me get me in trouble. All right. So I felt like I had tried everything else. I felt like for me, my back was up against the wall. I needed to change something, and I needed to change it in a hurry. And so I did. And now I'm not on 10 different medications, and almost everything that I suffered with has been reversed and gone. My diabetes is reversed. My high blood pressure is reversed. I don't have bleeding teeth and gums. My hair is coming back in. My eyesight actually, I was in 3.0 diopters. These are 1.75. I have not been able to go below 1.75, but I'm 60. So like, there's only so much that I can expect to reverse in my body. A knee that was supposed to get replaced a year ago no longer has to be replaced. The cartilage has regenerated in that. The ligaments are tighter and stronger than they have been for years. And I test all of it to becoming more insulin sensitive and reducing that inflammation in my body. So I hope that helps. And I have a number of ladies who've had thyroid who now are doing better. And ladies who've had PCOS who are now having normal periods, who are now being able to start the families they were told they couldn't. Men who have erectile dysfunction or who had erectile dysfunction who say now that that's better and their testosterone levels are back in normal range. I just a couple of weeks ago talked about both of those, and I can do it again. But people, one of the biggest things people notice most often, the quickest, is that their energy is back. How many of you guys, ladies, all feel like your energy level is just down from where you feel like it should be? Like you just don't have the energy to make it through the day. Like you're just frustrated because every day is a struggle to get everything done and have the energy you need to have to do what your boss wants, to do what your family wants, to do what you want comes last normally, right? We just don't have that energy. Part of that is insulin resistance. Yeah. And so Anna says she's beside herself because every month her meds are being changed. I was like that too. They're trying to figure out how to help you. So they're changing your medications because, oh, this one didn't work. So we're going to change it. We're going to give you a different medication. Oh, that's not working. Let's try a different medication. And in the meantime, they're skipping right past the fact that most of it is probably linked to insulin resistance. And if we just address the insulin resistance, we could get better. We could get better. So many people have. And look, if it doesn't work for you, then you're just, you haven't damaged anything in your body. You've created better health inside your body. You're not going through these medications, cycling on and off of them that could be causing, most of them, by the way, are causing liver problems, kidney problems, heart problems, and especially those weight loss and thyroid or diabetes drugs are causing thyroid problems in people. So there's all of that. You guys, by the way, I just saw that. Yes, I still have a little bit of a loose neck. When I first started, within about 6 months, this neck was just like wobbly and hanging down. Between the system giving me internally what I need and some fasting, this skin has started to pull in drastically. It's actually getting better instead of worse now as I get older. So what I've done, you guys, the simple thing that I've done, and it's really super easy, okay? It's not requiring me to go read manuals and do all that stuff, as I chose because I could no longer like deal with this and the long list of foods that I had to eat and find and bind and do all of that to try and address everything that was going on. I supplement. So I have a tea in the morning and it looks like this. That's what's in my big red cup is my tea this morning. It shuts down my hunger. It gives me energy. It helps me burn fat for fuel. It gives me mental clarity and energy. And it gets components back into my brain so that my brain starts to function more properly without anxiety and depression and panic attacks, which I used to have. Okay, so that's the morning one. It's helping with my metabolism. It's helping with my heart. It's helping with my mental clarity. Then I just do some time restricted eating. So I do a 16-8 fast. And anybody who doesn't understand that, ask. I'll tell you what it is. So 16-8 fast. If you don't understand that, let me know because I'll explain. Then when I do eat, which is normally about noon, I will have this 10 minutes before because this gives me back the fibers that I need. It's not just psyllium husk, guys. Don't buy into that. You go to the store and you buy this like $10 or $20 canister of fiber. Number one, you can't travel with it. What are you going to do? And number two, it doesn't work. So the Winnie, you can find the system by going to my profile and look. You can either find the maybe I can type it in here too. Let's see if I can comment. If I can put this in. It's not letting me. Okay, so if you go to on TikTok, if you go to my profile and you tap on my picture, in the very top of my profile, there's a two videos, one that kind of talks about what the system is and why it works, and one that takes you to how to order it. So it's $5 a day. It's a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink, and I actually am a representative of it. So I want to talk about that really quick too. If you guys are going to Amazon, eBay, Walmart to buy it, you're actually end up spending more. The people who have contacted me and said I bought it on Amazon and we look at it, they ended up spending about $100 more in the end than they would have if they would have just bought through a distributor. They don't get the money back guarantees. They don't get any of that because there's no authorized distributors there. So you guys just use the link that is in my profile, and there's a video that tells you how to purchase in there as well. One of the top pinned videos in my profile. There we go. I got to remember to keep clicking over here. All right. So it's just a tea in the morning and the pre-meal drink, and you'll find it all in my profile. So, and look, we do it this way. I'm going to tell you why we do it this way. Number one, it takes a lot of care, right? Because people just don't understand everything. You've seen medications and you have this big long list of instructions and all the adverse reactions and all of that can happen. How many of you guys have ever read that instruction booklet? None. I'm going to say none. So we found, because this used to be in pharmacies, it used to be sold out like in places like Walmart and not Walmart, but Walgreens and whatnot. And we found that people were not getting the support and the understanding they needed to be consistent to do this, to actually make change in their life. And so it was not serving them and it was not serving us. So the company made the conscious choice to do direct sales so that we could have people like me who are out here talking about it and able to help you to address your questions, to give you suggestions. We're not doctors, we're not physicians, we are helping you because we've been through it. And nobody better than to tell you what to do than to do with it than somebody who's been through it. So yes, about 154 a month, $5 a day. So let's talk about that too, because there's some mindset shifts. Everybody can use making some mindset shifts, right? So how much, if you guys, because I know I did this. When I say this stuff, you guys, it's because I did it too. But when I went down one day after I started the system and realized it was working because I was desperate, 90-day money back guarantee, it's $5 a day. When I sat down with my good buddy Jason and we sat down and added up what we used to buy in a day when we were food addicted and buying soda pop and buying candies or chips or energy bars or protein bars or whatever, we were spending an additional approximately $15 to $20 a day on all of that stuff. Now, not only do I eat 2 meals and get in my caloric intake and get in my energy needs with 2 meals and feel better, lighter, cleaner than ever with more mental clarity, and my skin looks better than ever at almost 60 years old. Not only that, but I'm saving that $15 a day. So Yes, the system cost me $5 a day, but just in the junk foods that and the stuff that I'm not reaching for because I'm not desiring them, that's saving me $10 a day. Now I'm not having another meal. That's $15 a day I actually save, and I put it all into a spreadsheet and tracked it, and I do actually save that. Yeah, the best decision you'll ever make. So, Bok Choy, will you tell me what your story is? Obviously, you're on the system, and I would love to hear your story and what's happened with you since you've started the system. Um, so you guys, it really is life-changing, game-changing. There's a reason. Like, you guys know family doesn't just hop on. Family knows you best. And they're like, with my kids, they were like, because they watched me do all the crazy stuff. They watched me do the medical medium and have the big, I have a Ninja on my counter right now because I'm making a cookbook. So I'm working on some things. But I had a Ninja on my counter. They would walk into my house and the bar top of my counter was filled with like lemons and garlic, and there was black seed oil sitting there, and there was ginger sitting there, and there was all of this stuff. And you go to my fridge and it's full of kale and spinach, and the freezer has wild blueberries in it, which I think are all great foods to have. My kids are like, "What the heck, Mom?" And every morning I'm making this crazy shake with all this stuff so that I could drink it down to try and get what this has done for me. So go to the grocery store every 3 days and buy all of that stuff. Have half of it go to waste. To deal with the blender every day. Deal with all of that. Try and drink this shake that I have to choke down. Thank you, Bok Choy. I feel like my skin looks better and better every year now. Or do I do a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before I eat anything and get all of those benefits? And this is what it looks like. That's what goes in my purse. Takes it with me anywhere I go. Goes in my carry-on when I fly. I don't have to worry about getting stopped by TSA. I don't have to worry about having my bags wiped down because I'm carrying an open container of the other stuff. So it's changed my life, and especially because all of this stuff, like I said, except for the erectile dysfunction, all of that stuff has gotten better for me. So Bok Choy, I just came off a 5-day fast. I'm playing with different types of fasting, but I'm 2 years in. I don't want to scare anybody. I did 16/8 fasting for the first 2 years, and it was amazing and beautiful and wonderful. My body, though, has been through insulin resistance damage for about 40 years. We suspect 40 years. So now I'm trying to find ways to accelerate my healing because 40 years of healing of damage is not going to get healed in just 2 years. I have a lot to do. I want to be super healthy. I want to be able to help more people. I want to be able to spend good time with my grandkids while they're still young and want to spend time with their grandma. I want all of these things. I can't do it in an unhealthy body. I can't do it when I'm tied to the bathroom because of my IBS. I can't do it when I have migraines and headaches and body aches and pains that I just can't get up. And so I want to get better. I mean, I don't have those things now. That was my past, but I want to make sure that I'm continuing my health and that I'm a good example for my grandkids. Because we were talking about kids earlier, I don't want them ever, ever, ever to go through what I did. So you've done a 48-hour fast, getting ready to do another one on the 5th. There's a couple of different ways of fasting, and if you're interested in that, and there's a couple of the ones that interest me the most are, so I did the 5-day fast. A 3 to 5 day fast at the beginning of every month is actually really good. I just did a series of videos on what's happening in your body. Day 4 and 5, your body is really starting to heal. It's creating new stem cells. It's turning over the old cells. And this is part of why my skin does look as good as it does, because I've allowed myself to get rid of junk cells and to not only build new cells, but when I start to refeed, this is a major part of my refeed, right? So now one of the first things I do is start getting in the balance when I refeed, and I do the Unimate the whole time. And that allows my gut to start functioning healthier. It rebuilds the gut microbiome, but not only does it rebuild the gut microbiome, that in tandem with some good, clean food is allowing my stem cells to grow and regenerate healthier. Your cells can only grow based on what you give them. If you're giving your cells junk, you're going to get junk cells. Okay. So I'm not this person who's like, you have to eat clean and you have to do everything perfect. And no, hell, that's not sustainable for any way. So anybody. So, well, that's because I've had my gallbladder removed and I'm in menopause and hormones and stuff. So I'm really committed to trying to get my health under control. After knowing now, and every day I do more research, I'm like, oh my gosh, how much damage have you done to your body not knowing about this thing called insulin resistance, not having any one doctor, not one, talk to me about this thing called insulin resistance, not one address it, not one anything. So that's part of it. There's another interesting, for those who have done the 16-8 fast and just want to switch it up or accelerate, you can do your 16-8 fast 5 days a week, and on 2 days, just do a full day fast. So you just one day don't eat and then go right back to your 16-8 fast for 3 days. One day don't eat, go right back to your 16-8 fast for 2 more days. That will help accelerate as well. Your wife and so did you tell me your results, hon? Tell me what's going on with you. Why did you start this protocol and what's happened with you? Because it's always amazing to hear from people who are doing it and why they're getting better from all of this stuff. So so the 5-day fast is really about, you guys, it takes, you start to get into autophagy around hour 16 or 14, sorry, 14. So the longer you can go past that, the better. You get into a really great state of autophagy where your HGH is kicking up, your ketones are kicking up, your cells are regenerating, your gut microbiome is resetting at around hour 36. So once you get past hour 36, now you're starting to have the best amount of ketones in your body. This autophagy is ramped up by about 300% of what it would be at, hour 20. And so that's why I do the 5-day fast, because it's helping me get rid of cells that have been damaged and hopefully reach stuff, especially like deep in my liver, that where things had been damaged drastically, we now understand, by insulin resistance, so that it can clear out. And then about day 5, when those effects are starting to really like just be at their peak, and when I'm not really getting a whole lot more out of it, I break the fast and I start to refeed those stem cells that are growing. So my refeed, and I did a video, but I actually did my first meal on the refeed. I mixed this. I did some coconut cream for a healthy fat. I did some ice. I did a little bit of our complete protein powder because it's a clean protein. And what else did I put in there? So it was the Unimate, the complete protein, some ice, some coconut milk, and that's where I started my refeed, because now I'm giving my body nutrients that it can digest easily. And it was like, I was shocked. After I drank that, I was full for 4 hours afterward, between the complete and the Unimate. But I still did do my balance first, because I want to, after, on a refeed, I want to get a gentle way for my gut to start working again without overloading it. And then because I was getting in electrolytes during my fast, I didn't have to wait as long as some people would. And I started eating, like, I had an amazing, I know I will murder the name, but palakshat salad, green spinach salad that was like, I should have only ate half of it. I know I ended up eating the whole thing. So there was a couple of questions. Now, your wife and I just started based on your results, son. So let me know how they're doing too. Yes, I limit carbs most of the time. Like right now, because I'm on this I really want to address my health. I'm limiting my carbs more than I would normally. Meredith, let me see if I can get it, you guys. Let me see if I can get that link. Hang on a second. I did not limit my carbs heavily for a long time because it just was not. What the heck? There, let's see if this works. Okay, guys, I'm so sorry about that. I hope that it didn't disrupt everything too much. That's my link right there, you guys. So you can get it right there, and hopefully I'll be able to do that without so much hassle next time. So I do limit my carbs, like right now, and I'm working on a cookbook so that it's going to be 2 parts. I'm working on, it's like recipes actually of, things that you can do with the tea, because most people don't know that you can add a number of things to this tea and still not break your fast, like cinnamon and whatnot. So I'm giving some simple things like that that you can do with the tea, even during the 16/8 fast, and not ruin your 16/8 fast. Then I'm doing some things that you can do if you want to still use healthy products and create foods that are helping you along the way, especially for fasting. Those recipes I will be giving to my customers on subscription for free, but they're going to be included in the cookbook as well. And I'm working on some, just like some real foods. Like yesterday I had an avocado lime dressed spinach and not spinach, shrimp salad. And I have this amazing chicken that I've made for years. When I was doing keto, it's a smothered chicken I make. That will be in there, a number of things. So you're 195 pounds. You were 195 pounds, bok choy. I'm worried about your overall health, family history of diabetes. You guys, you do not have to wait till you have diabetes. If you have a family history of diabetes, the best time to start is now, for your sake and for your family's sake. Start before you get to that point. So what do I drink on a 24-hour fast? I drink this. I drink water. This is not my favorite brand. It's just what I had to grab the other day when I was at the store. So I drink my tea and I drink water. That's what I drink on a 24-hour fast. If it's a longer fast, I'll add in some bone broth, okay, and maybe some electrolytes, because your body needs those. You will have a harder time with your refeed if you're not getting in electrolytes during a longer fast, okay. And so I do drink our Bone Fortify during the fast before bed. It has calcium, magnesium, D3K2, which are all healthy. Won't break my fast, but it helps me sleep and it helps with some of the electrolytes. Adding a little bit of salt to your water or tea can help with that as well. So your wife, 3 weeks in, has lost 5 pounds noticeably in the face, and I don't know the other area. So you know what? Your face will change drastically. You will hold water and inflammation in your face. And one of the things that I've noticed is it does change drastically in people's faces. I have a picture of my face, but I didn't put it up today. So, but look, you guys can see my face up there, barely. But there's my face before and after. And this is 2 years in. So this was more recently. And this was where I started. So what else we got going on here? Do I have any pain around where the liver is? Not bad pain, occasional aches there. Lisa, I did have, and so let's talk about that, okay? My gallbladder was removed 2 years ago this October. I had some gallstones dislodged, and I thought it was food poisoning. And so I'm fairly tough most of the time, and I just toughed through it for about 3 days. And like on day 3, I was like, man, I can't do this anymore. I'm in so much pain. This hurts so bad, and this can't be food poisoning anymore, because it would have cleared through. And so I took myself to the doctor, to the hospital. They said had I waited 2 hours longer, I would have died. So they removed the obstruction, and then a month later they went back in and removed the gallbladder. So that was actually, I guess I didn't have my gallbladder removed until like December. I should go back and look. But about a year later, so this January, February, I started noticing pain in that area, right? In the area of my liver, my gallbladder. That was no longer, I started having excruciating pain there. At first, it was just kind of like, oh, this feels awkward. This doesn't feel right. And then it started getting worse and worse and worse. Gastritis. Okay. So then is when I started going, okay, wait a minute. When did my weight loss stall? That was about 3 to 4 months after my gallbladder got removed. When did all these things start? It all linked back to my gallbladder. So I started doing some research on the liver and the gallbladder and realized, yeah, if your gallbladder is that sick, that means your liver is even more sick. And so that's why I'm on this thing to take care of my body and my liver, because I was in pain because of my gallbladder being removed and because the damage that had happened to my liver. So I did have pain there. And I don't now, with the exception of if I go out to eat and I get something that's been cooked in, heavily cooked in those seed oils like canola oil, corn oil, those oils they use in the restaurants that are high Come on. I know the name. But anyway, high flash rate. Okay, so those things, I will notice right away that I will have acid reflux. I will have that pain. I will have all of that going on. So when I say limit your sugar, that sugar is going to cause that pain as well. Too many fruits will cause pain there as well, and I can explain why if anybody wants to know why. And I actually just listened to a nutritional doctor talk yesterday, and he said basically the same thing I've been saying. He has an MD, I don't, but he was like, just you don't need to eat a whole bowl full of fruits. You can have one fruit a day, and that's fantastic. I usually have a pear a day, a pear, and I'll explain why pears if you guys want to know. So yeah, this is an amazing product for health. Your neck. Okay, her neck. Yeah, that thins down really quickly, right? High blood pressure. Yes. It helps with orange juice is horrible for you. Horrible. So is apple juice, cranberry juice, all those things. And if you guys want to know why, just type yes and I'll tell you why. I'm going to deal. If you want to know why, I used to be like, I used to have nothing but fruit juice in the house. Ask my kids. There was no soda pop in our house when they were young. It was only juices, apple juice, orange juice, cranberry juice. Now I don't no, don't have that in your house, okay? Because it's so damaging. Now I know. Now I've been educated. Now I understand why. And most of us don't know, right? We're told that it's healthy. So this system does help with high blood pressure and it helps with your sugar levels. You guys, my blood pressure 2 years ago was 180 over 150 or higher every single day. The best we could get it to in the doctor's office was 150 over 110. This morning it was 112 over 76. And so it's absolutely done that for me, and it's gotten me off of, I'm trying to do that now. Okay. And it's gotten me off of 10 different medications, including dual therapy for my blood pressure. So 2 years ago, I threw away all my meds because that's the choice I made. That's not what I'm recommending for anyone else, but I understood enough about the meds I was on and all of that I was able to just throw away all of my meds. And also I was mad. I'm like, this is not my life. I have never been a medication person. I didn't do drugs because I was like, I value my body, but I didn't realize that sugar and these fruit juices are actually acting like a drug in our body. And so I was doing as much damage with that as I would have if I would have been doing some other illegal substance, right? So yeah, this absolutely helps with high blood pressure and high sugars. Okay, so the fruit juices. Why I say I don't like fruit juices is this, and fruits. I mean, I love fruits in moderation, in moderation, in moderation, in moderation. For me, everything is moderation, right? I don't like anything that we're going absolutely one way or absolutely the other. So fruits and fruit juices. Fruits have this form of sugar called fructose. You probably all have heard that, right? Well, fructose requires more action in the liver than regular sucrose or come on, yeah. So than regular sugar. So when we eat fructose, fruits, it goes through the liver more heavily. Those sugars get stored in the liver more heavily. That's why part of why we're having more people with non-alcoholic fatty liver. At least with most fruits, not maybe watermelon, because most of the fiber has been stripped out of that. But when we eat most fruits, apples, oranges, whatever, there's at least some fiber to them, and it's slowing down the delivery and how hard your liver has to work to metabolize that fructose. So when you take all the fiber out now and create a juice, now you have this straight shot of fructose that you're drinking going through you really quickly. It may give you energy, it may give you some good components, but let's realize also that a number of the good components are in the skin that you're stripping away, cutting away, pulping away, whatever, juicing away. And now you have fructose. Fructose going straight into your system very rapidly. Now your liver's got to be like on steroids to metabolize that. And it's causing damage in the liver. It's causing inflammation in the liver. It's causing the liver to not be able to produce bile in the right amounts and the right kinds, and then the gallbladder struggling, and then we have all kinds of problems with non-alcoholic fatty liver. So when we take a look at how we've changed foods, right? Fruits when I grew up were still more like they were a healthy snack, but they were also a dessert. Okay, they weren't like the primary basis of our meals. Um, Primates can do it. They have a different stomach system, and there's some reality to that. But when I was a kid, we didn't have that many fruits. We didn't have we didn't hear about non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. There was fatty liver disease because people were drinking too much, but we didn't have non-alcoholic fatty liver. Then we started having it in adults. Now we're having it in children. When I go through the airport and I see grandparents and parents seeming to do well, like they're trying to do the healthy thing for their kids, and they're giving them fruit juice. Okay. They're giving them fruit bowls, these bowls of just nothing but fruit. Well, what's happening is they're putting a load on that kid's liver, and this is part of why we're seeing 6-year-olds with non-alcoholic fatty liver. So eat your fruit, don't drink it, and then limit your fruit. You don't need to eat it 10 times a day. So Melba says at the same time she had to have her gallbladder removed, she started burning up, chills at the same time, don't understand because she's 69, don't think it's hot flashes. If I move a lot, I start burning up, clammy, maybe the gallbladder changed something. The gallbladder changes everything. The gallbladder changes everything. Women who've had their gallbladder out are more prone to insulin resistance. They're also more prone to having thyroid uptake problems. So you may have more thyroid in your system, but your body is not able to receive that thyroid and utilize it. So you could go in and have tests done, and they're like, oh yeah, you've got plenty of thyroid. Your thyroid's fine, but the receptors aren't fine. They're not taking it up. The gallbladder, and I haven't been working on it as much, but I am working on a book, and I'm doing some research in between all this other stuff that I do to write a book on living without a gallbladder and with the Feel Great system, because some people have gotten confused and said, well, if I have my gallbladder removed and it's already been damaged because I had insulin resistance and that's what caused it. Most gallbladder issues are caused by insulin resistance, by the way. And I just went over that last week, so go back through some of my videos. There's videos on that. But why would I still do the protocol if my gallbladder's already been removed? Because now with no gallbladder, insulin resistance goes up. You'll notice that most women who've had their gallbladder removed will be having more problems with losing weight. It changes everything hormonally in your body. It changes it. And I'm doing the research, so I can't address all of it specifically because I'm not there yet and I don't want to speak out of turn. But yes, ladies, if your gallbladder's removed and you're noticing that you're having problems with weight loss, it has to do with the gallbladder. You guys, one thing that I can say, if I could have input, not a doctor, not diagnosing, but if I could have input, if you're being told to have your gallbladder removed, get a second opinion. Do what you can to understand that your life changes drastically. How you digest food changes after you've had your gallbladder removed. Everything changes, and not necessarily for the better. I know there's some natural ways to reduce and eliminate gallstones naturally. I have not dove into those because honestly, my gallbladder's gone. So I'm more interested in what's happening after the gallbladder. But check some of those things out. There's a number of books out there written on it. And I feel like there's days where I feel like I was rushed into having my gallbladder removed, and maybe that wasn't the best choice. And then there's days where I was like, well, you abused your body for so many years and your gallbladder was full of stones. So would I have been able to naturally remove a gallbladder that was impacted with stones? Probably not. So I'm on the fence. But if you can save your gallbladder, I would implore you to do everything you can to save your gallbladder. It's a small, tiny organ, and they're like, it's disposable. It's not disposable. It's there for a reason. It doesn't have a backup. It doesn't have a partner. It doesn't have anything that can replace it. So if you can save it, save it. Okay? That's what I would say. So your gallbladder. Now, when it's removed, remember that, let's talk about the gallbladder real quick. The gallbladder sits right underneath your liver. I'm visual, so you guys, I use my hands a lot. No, I'm not Italian, but maybe I should be. Anyway, so the gallbladder is this little tiny organ that sits under this big organ called the liver. What happens is the liver is constantly producing bile, a substance that helps break down your food. But we're not always eating. So there's a storage tank, if you will, called the gallbladder under the liver, and it stores that bile for use when you do eat. So now the liver is not trying to produce so much bile when you eat; it's just being released from the gallbladder. But the gallbladder has to be able to contract in order to release that bile so that it helps digest your food. In the presence of insulin resistance, there's some nerve damage that's going on, and it's not just in your hands and your feet. It can happen to your stomach and your gallbladder as well. So they're not contracting like they should and doing the job they should, or your intestines, and that's where gastroparesis comes from. And some acid reflux. I just went over that last week as well. But so now your gallbladder can't contract and get rid of that bile. That's when you start having gallstones. But the gallbladder is super important. Without it, now you don't have that storage tank. Now you don't have the proper digestive juices to break down your food when you do eat. So maybe you found that you have to eat smaller meals because your gallbladder just isn't there as that storage tank to give out those fuels. So one thing I will tell you is I do bile salts daily now, and I try to time them just before I eat. And I also do some digestive enzymes on top of the protocol that I use because I'm trying to support my liver and my gallbladder more heavily. Diverticulitis is one thing I haven't driven into much. So I don't, Amy B, I don't want to talk about that too much because I don't have an actual answer for you. My thoughts are, when I think about inflammation and gut disorders, I can see where those little finger-like things inside your intestines can get inflamed from actions of insulin resistance, but I don't have science that would say that. So that's one I would have to write down in my little book. Where's my book? And do some looking to see if I can find a link. Slush thing was, don't think you, okay, I don't understand that. Your gallbladder slush thing. Oh, you were told you have diverticulitis. Yeah. So I had diverticulitis, and that's why I think it has to do with insulin resistance, because the last sludge, inflammation in the gut, and so if the inflammation is hitting everywhere else, this is me thinking, not scientific fact, okay? This is just me thinking. But my thoughts are, if there's inflammation everywhere else that are causing things to get inflamed, why wouldn't that also affect your intestines? Now, I had some diverticuli when I had my last colonoscopy. The colonoscopy before that, I had even more. So how did I go from having a lot of diverticuli to less? I have to believe that it has everything to do with the protocol and getting my gut microbiome in order and removing inflammation in my system. By the way, that's why I'm playing with some fasting, because I want to further remove inflammation from my body for all of these reasons. So yeah, I'm more than happy to, let me get my pen, write down your name, Amy B, and see what I can find. Okay. So, yeah, very, very welcome. You guys, I can't look, insulin resistance is linked to almost every disease and disorder we have today that is lifestyle related. And that comes from metabolic specialists, metabolic scientists, people like Dr. Fung, Dr. Bickman, Dr. Pardeep. I'm even starting to hear from Yao and Lee and other doctors who are specializing in this now, who are talking about it. So, why my brain always goes out to reach that is because always in the back of my brain, I'm hearing these doctors say those things. And I'm like, well, if everything is linked to that, what's the possibility of this being linked to that? So that's where my mind goes. Now, does that cause everything? No. I mean, there's some genetic defects, there's some viral things, there's some bacterial things that happen. we can't, insulin resistance isn't going to control those. But what I can tell you is if you have insulin resistance and your gut is super unhealthy, now you have a gut microbiome and an immune system, because 70% of your immune cells are held in your gut. If your gut's unhealthy, those are not working right either. Now you have a harder time fighting off those bacterial and viral infections. Does that make sense? So even with those, I kind of link this in because I want my gut to be as strong as possible so that I have a fighting chance against any of those outward things that come into my life. So a little story about that, if you guys will. And I'm going to just say it now because hopefully we're past that stage where I get banned. I got shut off for saying this word a year ago. But so a year and a half ago, well, like 18 months ago, I got COVID. I was in a house with a woman who got it. We were doing the Golden Girls thing, and we both got sick. I was only sick for a few days. She was sick for almost a month. She was very, very sick. I recovered very quickly. She didn't. There's a number of factors to that. But I had also had pneumonia and bronchitis earlier in life. So that was not pleasant for me to think about, but it wasn't, for me, it wasn't that bad. It didn't even feel as bad as when I had the swine flu 10, 12, 15 years ago. But then several months later, I'm in my house with my daughter, not my house, in my daughter's house, because I had transitioned to helping her with 3 kids, single mom, trying to help her out with her kids and ferry them as she transitioned into a new job. And the little one came home from daycare with COVID. So 5 people in the house, 4 people got sick from that disorder or that virus. And I'm the only person in a household of 5 who didn't get sick. By that time, I had been on the system for a little over a year, and I don't have any scientific basis on it, but I just believe that for all the reasons that I talk about, the gut microbiome, the reduction of inflammation, the better immune cells in my gut as a result of those things, that I was able to get better from those things quicker than everyone else, because I don't feel like I'm Superwoman. Well, yes, I do. Wonder Woman, more like. But anyway, I do feel like if you take care of your gut and you start to understand that this insulin resistance is causing inflammation in your gut first and then throughout your body, you have a better chance at weathering the day-to-day stuff when all of that's healthy. If your insides are unhealthy and you get sick, you're going to get really sick and you're going to have a harder time coming back from it. And I do believe this is why some people are not weathering some of these things as well, because their insides are just very sick and their body just cannot fight everything at once. So if you want to have a chance at fighting all the stuff, then why not take care of your insides first? That's what I would say. So I hope that answers some of those things. You guys, it's been almost an hour. I know I was late getting on here. I am trying so hard to get on here, but I wanted to try this thing out and be a little more informal today. I have loved this morning where you guys have been giving me input and telling me your stories. I really, really value that, because that's why I'm here, is to address your questions. Yes, I do a lot of studies and try to give you guys a lot of knowledge. Let's go to my videos for those and see what you can find. But if you ask me questions, I will try to answer what I can. If I can't, I'll go try and do some research so that I can. But the system, the protocol that I do, you guys, is super simple. It's made my life easy. The one thing that I changed that helped me have immune system, I feel like my better immune system, all of that, and that's based on scientific research that I put these links together. It's a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before I eat anything. Melba, I'm going to get to your statement here in just a second. So you guys, all I've done differently now than 2 years ago when I was so sick that I felt like I was falling apart, is this. I do a tea in the morning. That's actually in my mug right here. And then I do a pre-meal drink before I eat anything, because we need fiber. We need fiber to slow down the sugars that we're eating. We need fiber to slow down the fats that we're eating so that our body has a fighting chance to digest them. Because I'm not a perfect person, because I don't have a fridge full of, or 2 fridges full of raw foods that I can eat, and because I live in an area where I can't grow my own foods anymore, I choose to supplement to make my life simpler. They're clean products. They're food-based. They're certified as gluten-free. They're certified as halal. They're certified as NSF. So if you live in an area or have a job where you're worried about getting tested for stuff, none of that. You guys, there's actual certifications. It's in the prescriber's digital reference, and you can get it at my profile. Let's see if that link is still gonna. Oh, it's not pasting it. All right. You go to my profile, right under the red lights is a link there, or there's videos pinned to the top of my profile that show you exactly how to get the protocol that I'm talking about. It's made my life easy. Do I want to do better with my food choices? Yes. Do I always do good? No. I'm human like everybody else. We all want to do better, but we're all human. So does it give me the right and the irresponsibility to just eat crap all day? No, no. Do I do as good as I can every day and then supplement to fill in? Yes. Then find another doctor. Find another doctor. So Crafty said, I was going to get the system approved by our doctor, but what if I sound smarter than my doctor? You guys, one thing you will learn about me is part of the way my mind works. Sometimes I speak very direct. It's not meant to offend anyone, but that's just how I am. Get another doctor. If you are smarter than your doctor, get another doctor. Or if your doctor's not willing to learn and do the research to catch up to where you're at on this issue, fine. That if they are fine, if they're not, get another doctor. And that's Crafty brings up a good point. This is actually in the PDR, so it can be prescribed by your doctor. If you're concerned about the $5 a day, then have your doctor prescribe it and see if your insurance will cover it, because a number of insurances have, because it is prescribable. So if your doctor is willing to prescription, do it. And if your doctor is not smart enough to write the prescription, find another doctor. Find one that actually cares enough. This is what it comes down to. They care more about your health than their own ego. That's a good doctor. A doctor who cares more about his ego than your health, and I've worked with many who fall into each category, they're not worth you having in your life. If their ego is more important than your health, get rid of them. Simple story. Okay, now Melba says after gallbladder surgery, she had walking pneumonia, then strep, wasn't around anyone that was so sick. I'm thinking my own resistance was down. Yes. So when you have gallbladder, and so here's the thing, when your gallbladder is removed, you're forever going to be struggling with insulin resistance through some factors in the body. Man, I really need to do that video again. That's a long one though. I will try to remember to do a video on that, Melba, because I was shocked when I started learning how just having that one tiny organ totally jacks with your health, your thyroid, your insulin resistance, putting weight on, moods, anxiety, all this stomach pain. You guys, it's horrible after you've had your gallbladder removed. Don't let anyone tell you that it's just this walk in the park. And pregnant ladies, that gets better after pregnancy. Just because you're having gallstones and gallbladder issues in pregnancy, it's probably because you're overly insulin resistant. Address this. Don't let them yank your gallbladder unless it's absolutely necessary. Okay? So, yeah. So getting more insulin sensitive has helped. Have I had problems losing more weight than that? Yes. And that we attribute to my gallbladder being removed. And now I'm fighting insulin resistance at 60 years old, gallbladder removed, estrogen down. By the way, estrogen is a preventative to insulin resistance. If your estrogen levels are down, whether you're young or old, ladies, if your estrogen levels are down, it's going to make you more insulin resistant. Your estrogen being at a normal level will make you more insulin sensitive and help balance that scale. So part of the thing is to make sure your hormones are balanced. But now on the other side, I want you to understand that when insulin is out of control, because insulin takes precedence over estrogen, progesterone, all of those, leptin, ghrelin, cortisol. When insulin is out of balance, then you start having dysregulation of your other hormones. So it's kind of a hand-in-hand thing. I would, if I was younger, address my insulin first. If my estrogen isn't bouncing back up, then I would start addressing my estrogen, because there's some problems with that. As an older woman, Postmenopausal, I already understand that my estrogen levels are low. So it's going to be harder for me with a gallbladder that's gone and low estrogen levels to lose more weight than that. So now I'm addressing it. Yes, Goldmuff. So yeah. Okay, so they're saying I read about online that you should get your gallbladder. I'm probably thinking we're meaning should not get your gallbladder removed because God put it there for a reason. And I'm going to say a big hallelujah, amen. Yes, absolutely. Only under extreme circumstances for me, looking back, would I ever, ever, ever let them remove my gallbladder. Okay, now that I know, but you guys, we're not getting education on these things. Nobody's telling us. They're like, oh, you got gallstones, let's remove your gallbladder. They don't tell you that it's going to cause a dysregulation of thyroid hormones or sex hormones, or that you're going to have a harder time losing weight and you're probably going to start gaining weight easier. They don't tell you all that. They don't tell you about the gastritis or the problems digesting food, or that, you know, you have to avoid some things, or you have to maybe eat smaller meals, or you have to watch your gut microbiome even more carefully, or that you're missing important digestive enzymes. They don't tell you any of that. They're just like, oh, got gallstones, let's remove it. You go on down the line. We'll see you back when you start having problems, okay? Yeah, I have my tonsils removed young too. So I am 59. And back in the day, it was just a thing you did, right? I was young. Doctors told my parents, remove her tonsils. I kept having swollen tonsils, had a tonsillectomy. And yeah, then there's some problems that happen with that too. I have not gone into those, but yeah. Any of our organs, you guys, we are meant to have, or God wouldn't have put them there. I absolutely agree with that statement. So anything we can do to preserve our natural organs, we should. Now, I've also had 3 joint replacements. Now, none of them, they're all better. Like when I look back at the pain I was in, they're better than they were. But here's the thing with joints. Both of my hips, the labrum was cracking. So like, can you imagine? Like I would have lost my entire leg because nobody addressed this. Nobody was telling me that this could affect my joints. They just said, "Wow, you're really young for us to be doing this surgery." Yes, there was some childhood abuse. Yes, there was some trauma that caused some problems early on. My hips were popping and clicking since I was 15 because of that trauma. But had I known about this, my body could have like generated and not deteriorated. Yep, absolutely. So, Mary, I can't say your name even, says, can you be on the system if you're on Mounjaro? Yes. So my opinion is if you're on Mounjaro, you have to titrate off of that, right? And if you want me to talk to you about what I know about Mounjaro, coming from Dr. Bickman, a metabolic scientist who I was actually had the pleasure of meeting in person. Look how beat up this book is. I will tell you what he said about Mounjaro if you want. But yes, you can absolutely do the protocol in tandem with any medication you're currently on. There are no contraindications for other medications or adverse reactions with other medications and this system. Okay, and you'll see that in the PDR if your doctor looks it up. So you can absolutely do it. It's food. So if you can have apples and oranges and your fruits and vegetables when you're on Mounjaro, you can do this. If you can drink tea when you're on Mounjaro, you can do this. So that's a very simple answer. And I've had a number of people be on Ozempic, Mounjaro, any of those. Do this, titrate off of those, and get off of them completely. A number of people who've been on metformin for diabetes who are off of it. I have so many people who are off of all their medications now by just doing this protocol, which is based on real food products. Again, gluten-free, halal, and certified safe from any drug testing. So it's food. Yes, you can do it. So Goldmuff says, her grandma said the same thing I did. God put them there for a reason. And her joints been popping and clicking since I was in elementary school. So there's a couple of things with that. For me, there was some trauma, right? But one other thing I dealt with a few weeks ago when I was talking about hormones, which was information for me because I didn't know this before. You guys, I learn every day along with you guys. But in the presence of insulin resistance, we start going through puberty quicker. So there's some genetic stuff, right? But when we're putting kids in the state of they're having non-alcoholic diet, fatty liver, they're pre-diabetic, all of these things in childhood, it messes with their hormones. Now they go through puberty quicker. Their bones are growing too quickly, and those growth plates don't close off properly. Now we have some joint dysfunction that will follow them the rest of their lives. Why am I kids? I have 4 grandkids. This is important to me, that my grandkids don't have a life of pain because we knew something and we didn't share it with them. And I would hope that you guys feel the same, and please share this with people who have kids who are starting to struggle. Because on this channel, I'm not ever going to tell you wait till those kids are 18 to start them on the system. I have an 11-year-old and a 14-year-old of my own on the full system. I have a partner up in North Idaho who's 11-year-old. Well, he's now 13, type 1 diabetic who does the system, because we're saving their lives starting now. We're not waiting till they're in pain and their growth plates have been destroyed and all of this other stuff has happened. When you have that hormone dysregulation as a child and you go through puberty earlier, boys don't grow up with the same musculature. They don't grow up with the same advantages of a boy who has all their testosterone. By the way, insulin affects how boys transfer testosterone into estrogen. It causes too much transference of testosterone into estrogen. By the way, all hormones start out as testosterone. Sex hormones start out as testosterone and get converted. So if they're not converting in women, which happens because it's a process in the ovaries that converts that testosterone into the estrogen that we need, estrogens, progesterone being one, we start having some hormonal dysregulation. Now, boys are growing up without the proper muscles. Girls are growing up with hair on their faces and too much muscles, and maybe they're developing early. And we wonder why kids are confused. And it all starts here, right here. So if it's 2 real food products, your family can do it. We have 18-month-olds. I would not give an 18-month-old a full packet, but we have an 18-month-old whose parent mixes up their balance and shares it with the child. And the child drinks the tea. And I have all of my grandchildren drink the tea. Yeah. So, and look, we can't blame our families because we're not all educated. Look, I have always had a science curious mind. Again, I'm going to say it 40 more times. I'm almost 60. I'm 59. So I did not have the advantages of having internet at this level when I was growing up. Like, the knowledge that is available to people today is mind blowing compared to what we had. So we now have this knowledge at our fingertips and people are learning. Your parents probably didn't know and had no way to know that that wasn't normal. Growth plates shouldn't be popping and clicking. So in a normally growing child, they shouldn't be popping and clicking. But when you have this too quick of growth and kids shoot up taller than other kids, those growth plates close off way too early. Now it's causing some joint damage. It's causing them, they actually will maybe start out bigger than other kids, will end up smaller than other kids. So this is important for children. I will not ever, and it blows my mind and breaks my heart every time I hear one of my other distributors saying, wait till they're 18. Why? It's real food and it's going to help them. Most parents, you know what? Most parents are doing the best they can and they don't know down from up. I didn't know down from up. Do you think that there's not a day that goes by that I don't apologize to my children for something that I did out of ignorance as a parent? Every time I see my son, I'm like, son, I wish I could have been a better parent to you. Son, I wish I would have known more. Daughter, I wish I would have understood. She's okay with me talking about this. We've had this discussion. My daughter, it's like, I wish I would have understood that you were autistic. I wish I would have understood what autism was. I wish I would have understood that I was autistic. I wish I would have understood how to deal with all of that. I didn't know. And I know I caused damage to my daughter because I didn't understand her autism or mine. And so it was frustrating for us both. And my poor son is caught in all of that. So yeah, parents do the best they can. So give them some grace, love them anyway. And yeah, as a grandma, I know more. I'm more patient with my grandkids. I even laugh at myself. I have a little grandson who is the heart and soul of my life, and he's very challenging because he has a disorder, and I am so patient with him that I even blow myself away. I'm like, where did this come from? When did you become so patient with kids? But it's just knowing, understanding, and starting to understand what's really going on in the world. So yeah, kids are important, you guys. They really are our future. And if we don't like the world we see, if we don't like the way kids are growing up, we hear about people complaining about Gen X, Gen Z, whatever, whatever, whatever. We have responsibility in that. And I want you to understand that part of what we're seeing happening with kids has to do with the fact that they're being forced into puberty too quickly. So the science says this: in the 1800s, we didn't hit puberty until like age 16. 16. In the early 1900s, we were hitting puberty around 13. That's 3 years difference. Now, some scientists are saying we're hitting puberty around 10, our kids are, but there have been scientists who've come out and said that kids are now starting to hit puberty at ages 6 and 7, 10 years too early. That's not just an emotional, psychological problem for them, a body that's changing that they're not yet ready yet for, that their brain hasn't grown to the place where they can do that, but they're having all of these changes and feelings and hormones that are changed, and now they're confused and they're having problems. I agree with hormones in meat and milk being part of the problem. Absolutely, I would never ever say no to that. So it is important, you guys. We've got to start where we can and do the best we can. Right? Goldmuff, genetics does play a part. Genetics plays a big part in autism. Do you want to know what I just found out about autism that really blew my mind? That relates to genetics in the way that it relates to how we raise our families and how we are with our own health, and why it's so important, especially if you're thinking about having kids, to address this. I would love to tell you that, but if you want me to tell you, I will. So environment and diet, because you deal with it, right? When I worked in medical before I had to retire because of my joints and stuff, I worked during the daytime in offices. I worked in a hormone clinic. I worked in an allergy clinic. I worked in emergency care, whatever. But then I also took care of adult people with neurological disorders in the evening. So, and many of them were autistic. I will tell you that those autistic patients, I addressed it with staff all the time for them to do a more keto diet because of, I didn't understand this. I just saw that when I addressed their carbohydrates, when we could keep their carbohydrates under control and not let them eat breads and all of that stuff and too much of the fruits and whatnot, and gave them more fats, proteins, and healthy fibers, that they did much better. I have one who is a nonverbal autistic, beautiful, vibrant gal, but when she was having behaviors so violent, her mom would bring her home from weekends with her mom with bruises and scratches, and like she would break things and destroy things. That's when, and it always happened after she was given way too much of refined carbohydrates. So autism and insulin resistance, let's dive into that. What I found, not only is insulin resistance causing malfunction in the brain because it's causing a problem with the way neurocytes are being released. They're not being released in the channels that they're supposed to. They're being released out of it. So now we have misfiring. We have problems with dopamine production and uptake in the brain. But when we start to look past all of that, and science says that they've men with autism, not men with autism, sorry, men with insulin resistance when they conceive a child, are more likely to have an autistic child and an insulin resistant child. Women who have insulin resistance before are more likely to have an insulin resistance child. So women who are highly insulin resistant during pregnancy are more likely to have an autistic child. So insulin resistance can play a big component in it. Am I going to deny that there's a genetic factor? No, but maybe you have the genetic factor and it doesn't pass on to your child because everything else about you is healthy. And this is not science. This is my thought. This is just my thought right now. But the science says that an insulin resistant woman is more likely to have an autistic child. I first heard about this, the science part, a while back when I did a video on, and when I talk about stuff, it's because I deal with it myself. I'm autistic, higher function, part of why I'm so blunt sometimes. But, you know, I've done a video where I said that if you're suffering from autism, yes, I suffer. I walk through the world differently. I don't understand what other people see. I don't understand how they interact socially. I don't understand that I'm too blunt and direct for people sometimes. It causes me pain. So I had some people come at me, and one person in my defense was talking about the fact that insulin resistance, there have been some studies that insulin resistance actually does cause autism. And I'm like, what? So I started doing some looking and trying to find papers that talked about it. And sure enough, there are papers out there that talk about this insulin resistance and autism link more so than just exacerbating autism. But when we go back to a mother who's pregnant and has insulin resistance, now when I look in my own history in life, look, my mom was raised on donuts and orange juice for breakfast, right? Was she likely in me? Probably, probably. Now, was I insulin resistant when I had my daughter? We didn't have a diagnosis back then. But when I look at all the factors, all the symptoms, I damn well know, because I also had gestational diabetes, which is high level of insulin resistance, right? I had preeclampsia, which is resultant of high levels of insulin resistance. Not one doctor talked to me about that 30 years ago. I now understand it. Had I understood it then, I would have been like, whoa, let's try and deal with this. I would have did this during my pregnancy to help me with that. But as a result, I have a highly functioning but highly autistic daughter. So do I believe those research papers when I look at my own life and be like, oh, shoot, yeah. Maybe if I'd had more information, maybe if I'd known to take care of myself better, maybe if I'd known more about this, I could have given my children a better chance at life. I feel like every child, I feel like every obstacle I go through is a gift. Because looky here, if I hadn't gone through all of that stuff, I couldn't sit here and talk to all of you all about it, right? So that's the gift for me, is that, yeah, through the things I've gone through, I get to try and help other people not have to go through everything that myself, my family, my grandchildren are going through because of all of this. And I'm going to go back to it. Thank you, Sarah. It all stems back to insulin resistance. And I'm here because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I try to be very, very clear about that. I'm a woman who got really, really sick, got really, really better by finding this protocol that addressed this one thing that nobody ever talked to me about. In fact, when I started the protocol, I didn't know anything about insulin resistance. I didn't know that insulin resistance was the precursor to diabetes. All of the stuff that I drop for you guys is stuff that I've been studying and learning over the last 2 years as I've gotten better. I'm going to be very clear about that. So I didn't know when I started the system, I didn't get all of this kind of coaching. I didn't get all of these information. I didn't get all of that stuff. I just knew that it could help with my diabetes and hopefully some weight loss. And those were the two main things 2 years ago that I needed to address. Get my diabetic numbers under control and get some weight off my body, because I had a doctor who wouldn't do my surgery that I needed for a hernia unless I lost 15 pounds. But because of the insulin resistance, I couldn't lose the weight. So the protocol is that I drink a tea in the morning. And that's actually, again, it's what's in my cup here. That tea tastes great, by the way. It tastes like a lemonade, a light lemonade, not like a really powerful one. But it gives me mental clarity and energy. It helps boost all of that mental faculty. Hold on. I keep letting my computer go down. But it also doesn't give me jitters. It doesn't give me crashes. I have this energy that's really clean. And I just had somebody start it, and we were talking the other day after her first day, because I checked in with her, and she was like, I can't believe the energy I have. It feels so different. But it is also helping you start to burn fat for fuel. So if you're having problems burning fat, this tea does that. It helps you with HGH production. It helps you with ketone production. And it's simple because it comes in a packet like this. I mix it hot or cold. Yeah, I like it cold. I can take it with me anywhere. So even I keep them in my purse. I can dump it in my water if I'm out and about. Easiest thing ever. Then I do some intermittent fasting, some time restricted eating. So I try to not eat for 16 hours. And if anybody wants me to go over why we do that, I'm more than happy to do that as well. And I will explain it. But then when I do eat, I have a pre-meal drink. And the pre-meal drink, what it does is number one, it makes me feel full before I eat. It helps me feel full for longer. It also creates this thick gel in my gut that helps coat my gut to protect me from over acids. I had ulcers and all kinds of acidic problems going on. But now, because it forms this thick gel matrix in your gut, when you do eat, those carbohydrates that are going through you too quickly slow down. So it, in effect, takes a high glycemic food and turns it into a medium glycemic food. One packet of that pre-meal drink that I choose to supplement with reduces your blood sugar spike by 27% with just one packet. Now, and it reduces your insulin spike by 13%. And there's science behind this. This comes from scientific papers. Now, 2 packets of it, say you're having a high carbohydrate meal, it reduces that blood glucose spike by 28%, but it reduces the insulin spike by 27%. So it doubles the reduction of insulin spike. And because it's food, I can have it anytime. I can have more than one. I can have more than two. I've had days where I've had 5 or 6 in a day because I went like to Texas to visit a dear friend, and the Texans love to socialize. So I think I had like 6 in a day because we stopped off. I still skipped breakfast. I still only had 2 meals, but she took me to Bucky's. I think it was Bucky's down there, and they had crazy foods in a gas station. I was blown away coming from North Idaho. We had to try something there. Then we had drinks, and we had appetizers, and we had dinner. So every time, if it was more than an hour, I had another one. So yes, you can have it with a heart condition. So Kelly, I don't know what your heart condition is. What I'll tell you is, since I've been studying and researching all of this stuff, 2 things I know. 80% of cardiovascular disorders come from long-term hypertension. Do you also have hypertension? And 95% of hypertension comes from insulin resistance. So when we link that long-term hypertension, which is most likely insulin resistance, to cardiovascular diseases, there's a high probability of link. Speeds it up, you have low blood pressure too. So you can't, I want to be very clear, you can't have anything that speeds it up, or you can have anything that speeds it up. So now for me, it lowered my blood pressure because my blood pressure was so high. Okay. But what the science says is it helps regulate your blood pressure. Insulin resistance most generally causes high blood pressure, but in some people can cause a lowered blood pressure. So getting control of your insulin resistance can help with a normal heart pressure normalized. This gives you energy. It's not going to lower your blood pressure if you have low blood pressure. It's going to help normalize your blood pressure. Can't have anything that speeds up your heart and have your blood, and it's very low. Okay, so Kelly, what I would tell you is, this is in the PDR. I will send you guys a link to it again. Please take the link, and I can maybe get you the link to it in the PDR. Have your doctor look at it. We have a cardiologist in Wisconsin who has every single patient regardless, every single patient in his clinic is prescribed this protocol because he's found that it actually does do what it says, and it actually helps people regulate their blood pressure, which then I don't know what your disease is, and I'm not a cardiologist, so I cannot tell you that other than have your cardiologist look at it. I can get the doctor's name. Dr. Ahmed in Wisconsin has every single one of his patients on the protocol because of how much it did for him and how much he believes in what it's doing for his patients. Everyone that walks through his clinic gets a prescription for it. I hope that clarifies. So if you want to, Kelly, on my profile, there is, if you click the link, it will take you to, and I'll get you guys that link, to a web, a landing page. That landing page, towards the bottom, there's a little button that allows you to connect with me through WhatsApp. And if you want to have a conversation there, I'm fine with that. I'm also fine with answering questions here. So how do you use this to lose weight? Weight loss is a side effect of the system. So what's happening when you're becoming more insulin sensitive by doing this system? So what those levers are, when we eat too much food and we eat food that converts into glucose too quickly, our insulin goes up. And we have chronically high levels of insulin because of the food environment that we have today. That insulin is a fat storing hormone. It's an energy transport hormone. When the rest of the cells in the body say, I don't want to take any more of you, insulin, it starts storing it as fat. You cannot gain weight without insulin to carry the fat or the energy to your fat cells. That's how you're gaining weight. It's not that you become fat and then you get insulin resistant. It's that you have too much insulin and you become fat from it. So when we reverse that, the cells are more sensitive to insulin. They're taking up the insulin that they need for energy. And then the fat starts to go away. And so let's talk about the fasting window. How long do you have to fast? So I only fast 16 hours a day, and then I eat during an 8-hour window. And I'm going to go over that right now, how that looks. Okay. And it's actually way simpler than you think. The protocol has helped make it super easy for me because I couldn't even think about, like, I wanted to do an intermittent fast for years before I found the protocol, but I now do it daily and I don't have any problems. I just did 5 days of fasting for all the benefits of increased stem cells, getting rid of junk cells in my body, allowing my gut to reset. All of those reasons. I did a 5-day fast because I need to heal. But on a daily basis, I do 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating. By the way, guys, I didn't do a 5-day fast until I was doing this for about 2 years. This is not something required. The 16-8 is. Okay, so you can start at 12 hours if that's where you're at. Thank you. And I really honestly attribute the health of my skin and whatnot to the two things: the protocol, building a good, healthy gut microbiome and removing inflammation, and the fasting. So those two things, I believe, are what's changed everything for me. I wish I would have put the picture up. Maybe I can still get it up over here on. I don't know that I'll be able to get it up, but I have a picture of me from almost 10 years ago, and I look 10 years older than I do now. So fasting and the protocol have done wonders for me. So let's talk about the fasting window and why it's so important. Okay, why a 16-8 fast is so important. Just biologically, why it's important, metabolically, why it's important. So hopefully it makes some sense. Yes, what time you stop eating and starting. So we're going to go over that right now. On a normal day, I would have dinner around 6 p.m. Okay, so that's the start of that's when I count the clock, right? When I have my last meal, when I have my last food is when my fasting window starts. You can get a prescription for the protocol. Yes, you can go to your doctor and say, hey, this is something I want to try. It's been working for, people. Here it is. It's in the PDR. If you want to message me, I can get you the links to the PDR so that you can take that to your doctor and they can write a prescription for it. The cardiologist in Wisconsin prescribes it for all of his patients. Many of them are having their insurance cover it because, or reimburse for it. You'll have to pay for it and then the insurance reimburses because it's been written by a prescription. Okay. So message me and I'll get you those links and you can absolutely have it covered by prescription if your insurance is one of those that will reimburse you for it. So in a normal day, I stop eating at about 6 p.m. So that's when the fasting window starts, right? So now I'm just not going to have any snacks before I go to bed. I'm not going to do any eating like that. Now, after I stop eating, it takes a couple hours for your blood sugars to normalize. So you're going to have your spike of blood sugars around 2 to 3 hours after. They're going to start to normalize and come back down around 4 hours after. It takes a few more hours than that, generally about 8 hours, for this hormone that I've been talking about, insulin, to actually come down. Now, if you live a lifestyle where you eat a lot of sugars and you've been doing it for years, it's going to take longer for that insulin to come down. You cannot have glucagon and insulin doing a job in the body at the same time. Insulin is anabolic. It wants things to grow. And it's a bully in the body when it comes to any other hormone. Okay, glucagon wants to eat things up. This is when you're going to burn fat. Insulin is when you're going to store fat. So why we do intermittent fasting? Because I just said it takes about 8 hours for that insulin to go down. So if we start eating again, glucagon's never gotten to do its job. You never start burning fat. You never start getting rid of junk cells. You never start doing any of that. So, and we never used to eat this often ever in history, guys. We just didn't. So we need insulin to go to sleep. That's going to take at least 8 hours. So, Vonnie, thank you for asking. All of my information comes from Dr. Ben Bickman, who is a PhD, a metabolic specialist. Buy this book. All of the information I'm giving you is in here. So there's your answer. So now about 8 hours after, your insulin will come down, and then it takes another couple hours for your body to metabolically switch and go, okay, we're not going to subsist off of insulin anymore, delivering energy to us from the food we've eaten. Now we're going to switch over to glucagon, and glucagon is going to go in and it's going to start utilizing. Okay, then if you want that, Dr. Jason Fung talks about the same things. He is a medical doctor. Dr. Yao talks about it. He is a medical doctor. Dr. Pardeep talks about it. He is a medical doctor. So if you're having an issue with that, Vonnie, go take it someplace else. So all the books that I just showed you are in my recommendations page. Go to my link. You'll find all of the books there. I said no, that I'm not. I have said, Vonnie, many times that I am not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm a woman who got sick and got better when those doctors and nutritionists couldn't help me. By the way, I always find it really interesting. I want to get back to the fasting part, but I'm going to deal with this person. If you keep it up, I'm just going to ban you. Look, I have doctors and nurses reach out to me in my DMs and tell me how thankful they are for doing the work that I'm doing. They tell me how thankful they are that I am giving this information out to people and how highly respected I am by them. My own doctor reaches out and tells me that she thinks I'm doing a fantastic job. So take your baloney and go somewhere else with it. Now, fasting. When insulin is finally down, glucagon can come out. When glucagon comes out, your body starts to produce HGH. It starts to produce ketones. It starts to do all of these amazing things in your body where your body can start to, your body's continually regenerating. But when your cells are under sludge, they start regenerating from the last copy they had. So if they're regenerating from a sick cell, you're going to get a new sick cell. We need to remove old cells so that we can have healthier regeneration. That starts happening when glucagon is out. Fat burning starts happening when glucagon is out. So we want that glucagon to come out, but glucagon doesn't come out for about 10 hours after you to drop to glucagon. You don't drop glucagon. Glucagon will normalize somewhere around 36 hours, but you don't have to go that far. So you need insulin down. That's going to be 8 to 10 hours. Then your glucagon comes out. now you start getting into this place where you do some intermittent, where you are starting to burn fats because you have ketones, these little messengers that are out telling you to burn fats. You have human growth hormone coming out. You have your digestive system resetting. So your microbiome is starting to clear out. And all of these amazing things are happening past hour about 12. You really get into a fat burning stage when you're about hour 14. So you have a couple of good hours of fat burning when you're doing a 16-hour fast. Then at 16 hours, you're going to break your fast and feed yourself. Now that you're in this great state, feed yourself good food. Don't go out and have a cupcake and a muffin. Have high fats and high proteins in that first meal to help those cells regenerate. That's a kind of a quick and dirty of it. So I don't, if I stop eating at 6, I have my next meal between 10 and 12. So 6 p.m., like, okay, so if you start, it does just depends. So count 16 hours past when you last ate, and then your next meal is going to be any time around that time. If you break it a little early, that's fine. Also, guys, there's an amazing app that I use for the people on the protocol. It helps you track. So all you have to do is sit down to eat and go, I'm having my meal, and it will ping that, and it will tell you how long you've been fasting and when you're in that time where you should start refeeding again. So if you do the protocol and you want that app, I can get you a link to that app as well. Just message me and say, hey, Misha, what was that app you were talking about? And it will help you track these hours. So let's answer what should underweight people need to do? Okay. So underweight people, Betty, in certain people who are insulin resistant, it causes a dysregulation in your hormones, and you can become underweight. There's a very, very small amount of people that can happen. I'm going to tell you the same answer I tell everybody else. Get your insulin under control. This is not a weight loss system. This is a balancing your body system. Weight loss comes as a result of getting more insulin sensitive. If you're underweight, I would probably eat 3 times a day. So I would do 12 hours of fasting, allow that insulin to come down and the glucagon to do its job. I would eat cleaner and up your fats. So I had a friend who was severely hypoglycemic, and she was underweight. And so one of the things her doctor did for her, which I was surprised, was put her on things like avocado, bacon, things high in fat to help her body, and high in protein to help her gain weight. So I would address the insulin resistance, get rid of the sugars, because the sugars can make you too thin when your body's reacting to those. I would focus on fats and proteins and some clean, healthy carbohydrates, and that will help you put weight on. You don't want to do excess sugar if you're already losing weight and you're sugar fed. Do you have to take metformin, or can you do it naturally with diet and low intensity? I was put on metformin, couldn't tolerate it. I did this protocol instead. And so some people can do it with diet and exercise, and amazing. So if you can do it that way, fine. But what I'm talking about is for the rest of us who want something that's sustainable, that they can do in daily life and feel like, look, how many of you have tried to do a diet or an exercise program, and you fall off one day and you're like, shoot, I just destroyed everything, and I'm going to F up, and so I can't do this, whatever. This system makes it simple and easy for you to do in your daily diet. Now, if you want to do those things, great for you. But for the rest of us who are already under fire and under stress and just want to get better and do it sustainably, this protocol is why I do this, because I did all the other stuff. The shot, yeah, no, I would never do those shots. They're just so damaging. So what is what? Oh, the system. So you'll find it in my profile. Just tap on my picture up there. The link under the red lights is going to tell you where to find it. Let me see if I can get the link. You know, one thing I used to hate my Apple when I switched over, but there are some advantages. And that's one. Copied the link on my iMac and pasted it on my TikTok on my phone. So there's that, you guys. And the same link down here if you're interested in it. So you just go to that link. It's going to take you to my landing page. You'll find the system there. You'll find my webpage, which goes over everything. I need to update the nutritional panels because we do have some new formulations, but it talks a lot about both products there and why they're working. So you can go there and dive into all of that. There's links to the PDR in my webpage. I have a Facebook group where I go in and talk every week and give some other, I'm dropping some recipes in there now and addressing questions in there. But there's also a WhatsApp where you can contact me directly if you need to. Okay. So, and you guys, my personality, I get really excited about this because I know how much it can change lives. Personally in my life, it's helped me go from there to there. It's helped me get my blood pressure under control, reverse my diabetes. I'm regrowing hair at 59. My hair is longer right now than it has ever been in my life and healthier. I have patches that were balding along the sides here. This was all balding. That's all regrown back in. My teeth are not bleeding anymore. I went from a 3.0 diopter to a 1.75. At 58, 59 years old, I reversed 10 years of damage in my eyesight. And all I did was this protocol. My sleep apnea is gone. I used to wake up 60 times an hour with sleep apnea. Don't have that anymore. I used to wake up every morning with leg cramps that had me screaming like a sailor. In fact, I used to sleep with Hyman's, mustard, or pickle juice next to my bed because I knew in the morning I was going to wake up in excruciating pain. That doesn't happen anymore. Okay. So if you're type 2 and not overweight, it's still the same problem. It's still the same problem. This is not a weight loss system. For me, it was. For me, I had gotten to a point where it was affecting my weight, right? And it had affected my weight for a long time because of estrogen dysregulation and all of that. But if you're type 2 and you're not overweight, it's doing the same thing. You're still fixing your blood pressure and you're still fixing all of those things by addressing the insulin resistance. And at 3 o'clock, I come on and talk a little bit more in depth about why this happens. So you do the same protocol. I have a family member he's type 1, not overweight, but struggling. And he started the system and has been able to reduce his load of insulin. His weight has normalized. His energy has normalized. A number of the health issues he was having as a type 1 are normalized. So even type 1 can do the system. We have a number of people who are doing it. Stress, no. So I'm not going to say no. You asked me a question. So the question was, is this all from stress? So there was a very direct thing for me. All. This is not all from stress. Okay. Insulin resistance comes first. Would you be interested to know that when you start to have insulin resistance as a result of this broken food industry that we have, that your brain starts to function differently? Now you have more depression. Now you have more anxiety. Now you have panic attacks because your brain isn't producing dopamine. Your brain isn't producing neurons in the right places in the right amounts. And you're having a dysregulation of dopamine uptake in the brain. All this stuff is going on, right? That alone is going to cause you stress. The sleep apnea and not getting rest is going to cause you stress. The insulin resistance causes a raise in cortisol because you're constantly in a state of fight or flight when you have insulin resistance going on in your body. Okay. On the other hand, I want you to understand that insulin resistance is very yin yang with many things. Low estrogen can cause insulin resistance. Insulin resistance can cause low estrogen. High amounts of cortisol. So think, maybe you are eating healthy. Maybe you are eating raw and organic and all that, but you're staying up and partying and hanging out with your friends and talking and doing all kinds of stuff and not getting rest like you should. That's going to cause an increase in cortisol. That increase in cortisol triggers an increase in insulin. So they work back and forth, right? Is it all from stress? So no, it's not all from stress. Stress can create some of this, but insulin resistance can cause the stress. And insulin resistance in the background is causing a number of other things. All this hormone dysregulation, gut dysregulation, inflammation throughout the body, all of that can happen as a result of insulin resistance, including that increased cortisol level that's making you feel like you're in fight or flight, like you got to be ready all the time, but your body just can't do it. It's tired. Okay, does that make sense? I hope it did. Yeah, if you can't sleep, there's a number of sides to that. So uh, there's a number of things with the sleep apnea. Stress is one. But here's something also. When you have a high amount of insulin resistance, there's a center in your brain called the hippocampus. And that is cueing your body to store more of that energy as fat. It's all storing as fat, but it cues it more to store in your visceral fat, the brown fat that's underneath the wall of muscle. Basically, we always think of visceral fat as from here to here. But a doctor educated me recently and told and let me know that it can grow in your throat and in your tongue. Thus, why I had fat tongue and had sleep apnea. Now my tongue bed has thinned down. I don't have a tongue that falls in the back of my throat, choking me off at night. So that sleep apnea and that inability to sleep, there's two factors to it, right? There's biological. You're having obstructive sleep apnea, which is linked to insulin resistance, and that's horrible. I woke up 60 times an hour. Then there's the brain, racing, anxiety, depression. You can't shut it off. Insulin resistance is causing a malfunction in these several factors in the brain. I think next week is when I go over all the brain stuff. So watch for those videos coming out next week. And again, all of my information, guys, I don't just go, oh, yo, hey, this is what I think. I actually read this stuff over and over and over again. I go find other doctors who are talking about it. I look at the papers he cites in here. I go find other stuff. I don't always read the papers he cites. Oftentimes I do. That's where all this information is coming from. Because no, I'm not a PhD. Never, ever, ever have I claimed to be. I just am a woman who believes that we should all be advocating for ourselves. We should all be taking more control of what we're doing in our life and how we're treating ourselves. And self-care in this respect, I think, is very important in all respects, actually. But I think it gets taken out of line. We're not going to go into that because I'm not going to go off on that tangent. But I think we need to advocate for ourselves. We need to understand us more instead of giving our power away all the time and expecting someone else who's not that educated in some of these areas to take care of us. Okay. So it's like this. Would you go to a bicycle mechanic and tell him to fix your SUV? Or would you take your SUV mechanic and say, hey, fix my bicycle? He may be able to read up on a bicycle and fix it. Does that make him an expert in it? No. Is that the right person to take it to? No. I told my daughter-in-law the other day this analogy too. It's like, talking about um, I need to learn to ride a motorcycle, and somebody who drives a Mack truck comes along and says, well, this is how you drive a truck. That's kind of how our healthcare is going right now, right? I'm having these problems. Okay, let's give you this pill because that's what I've been told. I'm not going to look at the fact that I'm going down the wrong path. But you guys can educate yourselves. Take what I say or not, but educate yourself on what you're doing and understand that you don't have to have a PhD to understand that nutrition and what's happening in our food is causing us to be ill. You don't have to be a PhD to read a book written by one or two or three, like I have a shelf full over there. You don't have to be a doctor to understand those things and start advocating for your health when they're not taking care of you. I highly respect my doctor. She's not my doctor anymore because I moved away. But I highly respect her. She was probably one of the most brilliant that I worked with, and she took care of me. She still didn't figure this out. I figured it out on my own. And when I did and started changing my life, I share the information with her. She applauds it. She supports it, as do many other physicians that I talk to. So you guys, be self-aware. I don't expect you to read all the books and that. Listen, take in what feels right. The other thing is, we don't listen to our intuition enough. And so for me, intuitively, this felt right. Like, I don't like medications. I don't like taking pills when you don't need to. That's not my paradigm, right? So intuitively, when I saw this 2 years ago, I was like, it's real food products. It has a 90-day money-back guarantee. It's not causing more damage to my system. It's supporting me in many ways. Yep, I'm going to give this a try. Okay. So that's where I made the choice, and that's where you guys get to make the choice too. You can say this is Hui, and you can go along your way and do what you want to do. Great thing is we're all human beings. We have choices, right? Choices. So I'm just encouraging you to make the best choices you can for you. Whether it's what I'm doing or not, that's up to you. But so what I am doing for those who just joined, because it's been a long time that I've been on here, and I need to go get some of these videos that I keep talking about done because I keep running behind. But look, all I do, the protocol that I do, it's found in my profile. I dropped the link over on YouTube and Facebook. I've dropped the link in here and I can drop it again right now. You can either go to my profile and click on the link right below the red lights, and it'll take you to my landing page. The top option is how to order it. Or you can go to this link. Hopefully it still is here. And you can go there and that will take you to the same place. Okay, then you're going to see where you get 30 tea. I can have it hot or cold. I want to, guys, I'm having fun talking today. I really don't, I need to go, but I really don't want to. So I drink a tea in the morning, hot or cold. It gives me mental clarity, shuts down my hunger, helps me get through a time restricted or semi-fasted state. And it's helping me with ketone levels, helping me burn fat for fuel, helping me feel full even without eating, giving me energy because it's burning my own fat for fuel instead of eating food for fuel. Okay. Then when I do eat or break my fast around 12, I will have a pre-meal drink that helps protect me from all those carbohydrates that are refined and not having the right things in them when I do eat. So it has a number of fibers that cause this gel matrix in my gut, coats my gut, fills me up, and then it starts to coat the food as it eats, slowing down how that delivers into my system, meaning it brings down the glucose spike, brings down the insulin spike, and helps me start to become more insulin sensitive. Plus, I stay full a lot longer. So meals that used to go run through me in a half an hour now stick with me for hours. Okay, and I'm not hungry in between. If I do get hungry in between, I have another one of these. So it's a tea in the morning, a pre-meal drink before my first two biggest meals. And the way I plan my meals are this. I haven't talked about that. I haven't talked about a lot of stuff. Okay, this is my plan for better health with insulin resistance. Dr. Bickman talks about it. I added a couple of things on. He did too, but just not all at once. So fiber first before you eat, every time you eat. I can't get in the right amount and variety of fibers every time I eat. So I supplement with this, and that takes the stress away. Whether I'm traveling, whether I'm at home, whether I'm out visiting friends, that goes in my purse. It mixes in water. I'm good to go. I drink it 10 minutes before I eat. Then I prioritize protein. I had a shrimp salad yesterday, and I started, because I'm writing a cookbook, I started plugging everything in, and I'm like, dude, there's really not enough protein in this. So I should have upped the protein in that meal, but I try to prioritize protein next. We don't get enough in. Try to aim for at least 30 grams of protein a meal. That's not a lot, but depending on your activity level, at least try to get that in. Then you want to get in healthy fats, and I will go over what those fats are. By the way, there's an ebook on my page as well. Then you want to do some time restricted eating for the reasons I just talked about, allowing your insulin to come down and your glucagon to go out. So fat storing when insulin is out, get it to go to sleep. Fat burning when glucagon is out. Okay. So there's that. Then I do some exercise. I'm going to be honest, the last few days I haven't been getting enough in, and I was admonishing myself last night because I hadn't been moving enough. So one of the things I'm going to do when I hop off this live is I'm going to go for a walk in nature, fill my soul, get my body moving, and then I'm going to do some qigong. But so those are the things. Fiber first. Oops, I forgot one right in the middle. Limit your carbs. You guys, especially refined carbs. I'm not saying you can never have them. When I do have refined carbs, whether it's a muffin, a cupcake, a cake, ice cream, which I don't have that stuff much, but when I do, I just have one of these. Again, they're food. So can I only have this in a day? No. Can I have this more than once a day? I regularly do. I have it morning and afternoon. It doesn't affect my sleep. I have this before I eat anything. Most days I only eat 2 meals. Some days, if I'm having snacks or if I'm visiting friends or we want to have appetizers or we want to whatever, I just have another one of these. It's not going to hurt you. Like I said earlier, I've had up to 6 a day. You want to go to my profile or the link I just dropped both places, and you can find it there. It absolutely changes lives, and it's helped with all of these things for not only me, but many others. So Guys, it's been 2 hours now. Can't believe it. You guys have made it so enjoyable and worthwhile this morning. Thanks for everyone who interacted and made comments and asked questions. I will be back around 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to dive in a little bit more into what insulin resistance is. Computer, I got to fix that setting too. And I'm going to help you out with that. Understand insulin resistance. Pears, yes. Okay, RC, great question. I talk about pears a lot lately. I think it was Dr. Lee, L.I., who has written a book called Food as Medicine. In a podcast I was listening to, he was asked 5 foods that he would recommend. Of course, salmon and shrimp are 2. There's capers in there, but pears were one of the foods that he listed as his top 5. Why pears? They're lower on the glycemic scale because they're not crunchy, right? But they're very high in fiber. They have less fructose than some other fruits. Yet they taste so sweet and juicy and delectable. I have a bunch in my fridge right now. I try to eat a pear a day. Okay. The thing with pears is, I don't care whether it's the Bartlett or the Anjou or whatever. I'm sure there's one that has more of this component than others, but generally, pears have a lot of chlorogenic acids. Chlorogenic acids are a component that can cross your blood-brain barrier, help you start to be more insulin sensitive in the brain, help with regular cognition in the brain, help with that anxiety and depression, help you feeling good in a good mood. So yeah, pears. Fruits, I didn't mention that earlier. Fruits for me are going to be berries or pears. In my fridge right now, kiwis are another one, although I can't cite to you why they were talking about kiwis the other day. One of the doctors who talks about food as nutrition or food as medicine was talking about how great kiwis are. I'm not accustomed to eating kiwis, but the fruits in my fridge are pears, a whole lot of pears, because I love them. And now that I know, and so I want to eat them a lot. But I have at least one a day, usually with my first meal, berries and then kiwis. Those are the 3 fruits in my fridge. Do I indulge in watermelon once in a while? Or my favorite, which happens to be, it's high in some really great components, but it's also high in on the glycemic scale is pineapple. Look at that. I'm having angst over not having pineapple. But I'll have pineapple. I just am more careful with it. So, but the 3 main fruits are pears, then berries, and then kiwi. Okay. I hope that helps. Yeah. Now that I understand what's in pears, according to this nutritional doctor, I am so happy, and because I've always loved them, and I just thought they were too high on the glycemic scale, but he broke that myth for me, and so now I do a pear a day. By the way, there are some studies that say if you do that pear a day, it will help with your insulin sensitivity because of those properties. The similar some of the similar properties as in Unimate. Now, Unimate has more chlorogenic acids than a pear, but the pear is only adding to that, as well as some fiber and some other good nutrients. So let's see, some foods before I hop off. A couple of the foods that I've put into my pantry and my fridge now, because listening to these doctors, they've said that are so good for helping you become insulin sensitive. And some, I don't remember all of them, but the ones that are in mine right now, pears, 1 a day, right? These said salmon, about 3 times a week, in studies that they did, actually helped with people's insulin sensitivity. Has to do with the omega-3s. If you don't want to do salmon 3 times a week, he said you can substitute shrimp for salmon once in a while, but try to get those in 3 times a week. And the studies show that helps. Also, and I understand this one. I'll talk about that in a minute. But capers, I don't remember why they said capers. Capers are not fish eggs. Capers are not some weird, they're flower buds. Didn't know that either, you guys. Didn't know that. But he said add capers a couple of times a week. That can help with insulin sensitivity. So generally, I do my salmon in a lemon caper butter. Got them both in, okay? But the last one, which is really shocking, and it has to do with insulin resistance in this way. We have a digestive enzyme called amylase. It breaks down sugar, and it breaks it down really efficiently. Women who are older, we have a buildup of amylase in our system. So now we're, there, okay, there, I'll look it up. Yeah. Juniper bush, but it's a bud of a flower from the juniper bush, right? I mean, I could be wrong. That's what they were saying on this doctor's podcast. So I didn't know what bush, but that's amazing to know. So the last one that I'm going to drop today, because I can't remember the fifth, so is white navy beans. Now they are higher in carbohydrate than most of the rest of the foods, right? But what navy beans do is they have, and navy beans, not red beans, not black beans, not lima beans, not any of those, but navy beans, those little white beans they use in bean soup. There's a component in those that inhibits amylase. So what it's doing is it's inhibiting the breakdown of sugar in your body. So they said, um, like they said that, so if you're breaking down sugar too quickly, it's adding to the problem. So when you do, and if you've seen any of my pictures that I put up, once in a while I do, like oftentimes I'll have steak or chicken and you'll see some navy beans there. It's for those properties. That's what they said. 4 days a week, 3/4 a cup of those navy beans helped this study group be. The study group who ate them was more insulin sensitive at the end of it than the study group who didn't. So white navy beans, 3/4 of a cup, about 4 times a week. Now, there's a question over here on Andrea. So $5 a day, Andrea. Most people are spending $5 a day on food that's junk. Okay, so it's just a shift in mindset. It's there's no judgment here, because look, when I started the protocol because I was so sick and I felt like I had done everything else. I didn't want to do the medications. I was spending about $100 a month on medications, um, and it wasn't getting me better. So this came up. It had a 90-day money back guarantee. It's all natural foods. It's halal. It's gluten free. It's all of that. And I'm like, why not give it a shot? You allowed the doctor to pump you full of chemicals for almost as much a month as this. And why not try this? So I did. $5 a day. Then about a year later, I sat down and I counted up what I used to eat in a day. And because I was so food addicted, which comes from the insulin resistance in a number of ways, I was eating at least about $10 to $15 a day in snacks. The lifestyle I lived and the job I did, I would stop off for a soda. And maybe because I needed energy or I was just hungry and there was nothing that was cooked or available at 2 a.m., I would grab a candy bar and maybe a bag of chips because I was craving something salty, part of insulin resistance. And when we add all of that up, that was like $15 to $20 a day. But it's easy to do when you're just doing it in little bites, right? And then we think, oh, it's not a big deal. But if you take all of that away, how much money have you freed up? Also, so there's the medications, $100 a day gone. $20 a day I've swapped out for $5 a day. That's $15 a day gone. This is a lot of money, right? Can we understand why I was so broke? Because I was insulin resistant and food addicted, and I wasn't realizing because it was coming in little pieces at a time. Um, but then now I don't eat breakfast. So I have more money to spend on better food because I've eliminated one meal of the day. I eat the same amount of calories, really. They're just healthier calories. So I plug everything in my life into a spreadsheet. My budget is projected out for 6 months to a year at any given time. I put it all in a spreadsheet. One thing that I did was I started watching that spreadsheet as I started the system, and I realized that I was saving more than double of what I spent on the system by making these changes. So it's just a mindset shift. Do you want to spend $5 a day to destroy your health, or do you want to spend $5 a day to gain back your health? That's a choice only you can make, and that's a justification only you guys can make personally, each one of you. So it really does come down to you and what choices you want to make. I'm not forcing anybody. But look, if you're coming at me with it's too expensive at $5 a day, and I know that almost everyone, even I've seen people on assistance because I worked with them, spending that much a day on this junk, then I can't accept that. There are some people who maybe it is just too much. And then I still wrote a ebook to help you understand how to change your diet and your eating so that you can get there if you can't afford the system. So there's that. Okay. I hope that helps. Um, All right, guys, I am going to go. I'm going to go take my beautiful morning walk. I'm going to go get some amazing content done for you guys. I'll see you back about 3. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Thanks for your contributions to this live, and I'll see you later. Have a good one.